Vice Mayor, do you have something?
I don't think any of us up here enjoy doing this. I don't think you run for an office and say, gee, I can hardly wait to get on board here and cut all these positions and reduce everything. I think we're looking at a very serious issue. We're taking it very seriously, and we're taking it one step at a time. And I think that's reasonable. It's prudent. There's no perfect system, as we've heard, to do this. There's many, many ways that have been explored. I tip my hat to the city manager and the staff and the people of the various unions who've come forward and have been willing to make sacrifices, because that's what it's going to take, not just now. We still don't know what we're looking at. And I think we have to keep our options open. I think this allows us to do it. I don't think you take and lop the head of the city off right away. We may get to a point where we have to do things that we don't really want to do. But the reality is, right now, this is one step, and it's a step that we have to make to stay solvent.
Ms. Coppins?
Well, I don't think that I'm completely satisfied. I understand all this has been going on. I still feel like there's things that were mentioned, have been brought up a couple times, transferring to other departments. I know I've talked to you briefly about it, Nancy, and you've explained some of that to me. Another thing that I've brought up before is the suggestion of Chief Mort was going to retire, and that was going to, and then stay on until we could get a new police chief. That would save us $80,000 for that staff report. No consensus came to no, that's not what we want. It was passed on to the new council, and for whatever reason, it wasn't brought to us. But that's half of the furloughs for this budget. I mean, if we could find other options like that, I mean, the furloughs or someone's job or something like that would be an option. I mean, I just don't. Just finding other options like that, I mean, is not an issue now of whether we have to or not. I feel like there are things that haven't been looked at. I do see that they did finish the discussion with Local 1, and I applaud the giving up their COLA. And that with that deferral, we're never going to pay that, right?
We will pay that deferral back when the times are good again. It's no different than the furlough program ending. We will pay them back. At the time, it won't be like they won't be gathering interest. It's a deferral. So at the time that the revenues exceed expenditures, the furlough program ends, we're at 8% reserve level or higher, that would be the time they would get that COLA back. So yes, I just want to be very clear. It is a deferral. That's why it says that. It's not a takeaway, permanent takeaway.
I mean, I understand everyone's worked so hard, and that the staff has come and said, we're willing to do this, but they represent the staff, and I represent the citizens, and I just don't think that I can feel comfortable with the cuts to police and fire, and time to think outside the box. I mean, I'm not going to say cuts are easy, but I think there's other options.
Okay. Councilmember Charamella.
Well, I am surprised. I agree with Vice Mayor Fuller that we are taking this one step at a time, but I disagree that we've looked at all the options. At the last meeting, I specifically asked the city manager to come back with options. Instead, what I have in front of me is the exact same thing that was proposed at that time, with minor adjustments to the fire department not taking a furlough, but taking some give-backs. I agree with Ms. Kopis that the deferral of COLA is not addressing the problem, and I'd really like to talk about the problem. You know, Mr. ex-Councilman Smith was up here at last meeting, and he was also at the goal-setting session, talking about the structural imbalance, about how we need to raise fees. That is not the cost of this, or cause of this structural imbalance, and it never has been. The cause of this structural imbalance is wages and benefits that are unsustainable given the economic conditions. And the fact of the matter is, if we had continued to grow in revenues, we would have seen continued growth in salaries. It's the same old thing throughout the state. I just got done reading a fire magazine that's put out by the state sent 2 emails off to the president of the association and also to one of their other people, and their whole idea was, let's charge for our services. I've heard that here before too. This is a problem that needs to be addressed. It killed Vallejo, and I don't see us addressing this. I'd also like to know how the decision was made to save this one person's job, and I believe it was moving her back up from half-time to full-time and laying 2 other people off. I don't know, it's none of my business, I guess, how the union came to deciding on the one person to help and letting the other 2 float away. But I'd agree with what Mr. Tice said. I think it's something that I've said in the past. I don't see that we need to take furloughs. We need to have a reduction in pay. And a 10% cut in salaries is what is needed. I also sent an email out to everybody on this council regarding the city of Winthrop. What they did was they laid off their chief of police and promoted a lieutenant up to that position and didn't fill the lieutenant's position. We're not thinking outside the box. These are pretty standard things that we're doing here, and all designed to preserve salaries at the levels that they are. We're a small city, and as people have said that have got up and spoken, we're making comparisons to the wrong cities. And until this is directly addressed, we're going to continue to end up with the same problem. And the reason I back no furloughs is I want to continue to provide service to the citizens here. And if we can't afford to make the pay, and if the employees decide that they don't want to work for a 10% salary cut, then they're going to have to do what they're going to have to do. But I want to make sure that on a Friday that a person wants to come down there, maybe it's their 1 day off a month from the state, or one of the 2 days they have off from the state a month, that there's somebody down there to serve them. And instead of having somebody parked at home, relaxing, whatever, more or less getting unpaid vacation, I'd rather have them out serving the city. And I know the employees here enjoy serving this community, because you've said it in the past. And I'm not trying to be vicious. I understand from talking to Jason that there is a large impact in taking that kind of a cut. But we're looking at laying people off as opposed to this. And I do not believe that sales tax revenues are going to be climbing anytime soon. I also believe that when the March comes around and the assessor gets done reassessing properties, that we're going to see another hit. And somewhere down the line, and I know I don't have the support right now for this, but somewhere down the line, we're going to have to look at this thing and get real serious about it, because this problem isn't going away. That's all I have, Jeff.